Uh, what was the most chilling or haunting story that he shared with you about his experience?
You know, it was all so sad in a lot of ways, but I think the story that really kind of hit me, actually, it happened about a day and a half before I met him. He had been at a friend's house. I lead the story with this. He'd been at a friend's house home over winter break and had woken up in the morning feeling kind of queasy and off, started throwing up, couldn't stop throwing up, couldn't even make it down the stairs of his friend's parents' house, and eventually was taken to the hospital in an ambulance. And he knew, this is just related to all of these symptoms I have that we don't really know how to treat them. And in the ambulance, he said he was thinking about, I would be better off if I weren't alive. My family and friends would be better off if they didn't have to deal with me. And he had these, that thought process in the ambulance. And, he says it was a turning point that he kind of thought his way through it and realized, after talking to his friends and family, that's not the case. But for him, it was kind of rock bottom, at least mentally, I think, in a lot of ways. He'd never had those thoughts before. And just hearing this, vibrant 21-year-old kid who's very smart and has, still has so many opportunities in front of him say that was incredibly chilling to me.
Yeah, it's amazing how fragile the human brain is. If those concussion protocols, or the ones that we have now, were in place 4 or 5 years ago, what kind of a difference do you think that would have made on his life and his career in football?
I don't think a huge difference because for him, when he was in high school, the Indiana State High School Athletic Association had adopted pretty strict concussion protocols even then, because he was the first one he suffered in 2010. And so even then, they had a pretty good concussion protocol on the books. And he says that he thinks his high school protocol and the way it was followed was done far better than in college when he was rushed back after one concussion in Indiana. He never ultimately made it back, but he was rushed back into working out. I think, honestly, what it comes down to is incomplete information. And it's not so much the protocols as it is, even if this kid can pass the protocol, should he be playing? And, the first concussion he suffered in 2010 as a freshman in high school, he had a subdural hematoma as a result of it, which is a brain bleed that can be incredibly deadly. His was caught early and he was fine. But I was talking to one of my best friends, the doctor, and I was talking to her this weekend about it. And just, is that crazy? Is that weird? And she said, to me, it stands out as, oh my gosh, a kid who suffers a subdural hematoma at age 14 should never play football again. But that isn't in the literature. There's no literature for that. We just haven't had enough time studying these injuries to really have answers to these more, to questions beyond the protocol, I guess is how I would put it. So I think the protocol he went through for all these concussions was, probably the right protocol. It's just a matter of, even when these guys can pass it, should they still be playing?